morning, viewers. You're welcome to a brand new week and another edition of the Market Review, where we bring you developments in the financial and capital market as relates with the economy. Today, Monday, we look at the equities market, and we'll be discussing leveraging the digital technology to deepen activities in the equities market. With me to lead this conversation is Mr. Charles Fakrogha, Chief Dealer, City Code Investments and Trust Limited, joining us today. And once again, nice to have you on the show, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, yeah. Well, let's begin with the Proshare 2020 Online Trading Report, which I guess you've gone through and you described as very incisive. It showed that 72.9% of online trades were equity transactions, and that again brings to the fore the value of the equities market, even when people thought that it wouldn't be as dominant as before when it comes to digital space. I mean, mutual funds had 14.18%, fixed income 5.29%, forex 2.19%, which shows that traditionally the equities is still that place people want to play on. But does this re-emphasize the value and importance of the equities market overall in the ecosystem?
Yeah, thank you very much. The equities markets will continue to dominate the security space because most investors are very comfortable with that. And but however, you will notice that in recent times, the various capital market players have always emphasized diversification, because the exchange, that NSE, is not a mono-asset exchange. It's a multi-asset exchange. So we've encouraged, apart from the equities market that are the fixed income space, the mutual fund, the ETFs, and so many other asset class. So we have always, we will continue to see that more and more investors will still are more comfortable with the traditional equities market. And we'll see that gradually, most people are going to be diversified. It's still as an ongoing process, but I still believe that so has not been enough to educate the investors so that they also begin to diversify their portfolio.
Yeah, definitely. It's very important to diversify, and you clearly said stock exchange, a multi-asset exchange, not just mono-asset in the equities market through investor education. What has been happening in this regard from your end and your interaction with your colleagues? Will you say the capital market operators are intensifying efforts?
You know that I have always been forefront of as a whole, because with all that shifted more, although they need to continue to educate our investors. More and more investors, especially the older investors, they are still comfortable with other asset class. We are doing everything we need to do, using advice to show the need that investors' education is key. You don't only just trade. Said, I'm also going to continuously educate investors. If you will have been able to diversify, we are not going to investors' education at any.
In the report, which says that if traders educate their clients and show them how to make decent returns on trading different asset classes, like you said, it on increase exponentially, and the challenge of making it much effective in terms of that CMO friendliness with technology.
Very, very proud platform. You should do a buy-in of at the same time, you know, where people actually then make it simple and seamless. They have to be patient. They have an ecosystem are doing right now. Like I've seen in your most CMOs, some few CMOs have it, and they are doing very well. I am going to order
Well, I agree
the
with
regulators.
you.
They all can. And I would just want to even let today.
That's very important for the market. All right, Mr. Fakrogha, can you hear me now? Part of the challenge of technology is that the infrastructure needs to leverage conversations like we have now. But it's very clear, it's very, very clear that the way forward is
with digital.
Yeah.
And that was a barrier for you to operate in the market. So when the COVID-19 came, it was obvious. All the CMOs became convinced that there is nothing they can do. They just have to key into this new normal so that for them to remain in business and retain clients. So we are going to be seeing improvements. Along, like I said, there are still challenges that need to be tackled.
Yes, one takeaway from what you said is the management buying. But with COVID, most managements now understand that they have to quickly buy into the investments in technology, or else they will cease to be competitive. And before you know it, they will not be relevant in the scheme of things. And nobody wants to be left out in a time of innovation when it comes to market activities. So very clear what you've said there, Mr. Charles Fakrogha. But let's look at the need for competitiveness for the CMOs and innovation. This has informed the need for increased partnership between the CMOs and Fintechs. And recently we had discussed, when I had you recently on the show, the guidelines issued by the Nigerian Stock Exchange on engagement with Fintechs. How has it been so far on your end, and how are CMOs leveraging this guideline and opportunity to partner with Fintechs?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me now, Mr. Charles?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay,
yes,
I'm saying
it has. Okay, take your question again.
I'm saying that what you said is well noted. I mean, there's a need for management buy-in into technology for CMOs, and definitely I agree with you, COVID-19 has made it imperative. So anyone that doesn't do that definitely will not be competitive or valuable in the market. But now there's also an opportunity for partnerships with Fintechs. The Nigerian Stock Exchange issued guidelines recently, which I discussed with you when I had you on the program. Those guidelines, how is it being leveraged by the CMOs at the moment?
Yes, thank you very much. The guideline was timely because sometime last year, the NSC organized what we call the innovative, through the innovative hub, an hackathon, where different fintech providers came to pitch, and the best were chosen, and they encouraged capital market operators to partner with them. But you see, the fintech companies are very radical. They are disruptive in the positive way. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you. Go on. Mr. Charles, you can go on. I can hear you.
Okay. Their technology is disruptive in the positive way. So that competition was organized, and all the CMOs were invited. They now saw the needs that they need to partner with these young startups, fintech, to improve their competitiveness in the markets. I'll give you a typical example. When we were trying to test run in a City Code, that is the City Code online trade, the test run, the IT people were able to show us that if you have a client, even in China, that client can key into your system, place their orders, and it will be executed, looking at all the parameters. Then they also demonstrated that our clients don't even need to come face-to-face to the office. This was even before COVID-19, and they can be in Port Harcourt, place their orders, it will get to our system, we will trade it, then in 3 days' time, their money will be ready, and it will be credited to their account, everything digitally. And we don't need any other prophet to tell us that this is the way to go. So looking at City Code in itself, we now begin to realize that we just have to improve our infrastructure. Yeah, these things cost money. We need to improve the infrastructure and be in that space. Now, the
Yes.
issue was now issue of risks, because the IT people now came that there could be some IT risks involved. And of course, the compliance issues also involved, governance issues involved. So when those rules and regulations came up, it made things so easy for the CMO, and also made it easy for the CMO to collaborate and form partnership with the fintech companies. So it became something very easy that everybody can key into. Officially, there will be challenges here and there, which we're still experiencing. Over time, the learning curve will improve and it will become the normal. I'll give you another typical example. Since the COVID-19, most of my traders, they trade from remote locations. Nobody comes to trading floor. Few people come to the office. But on a daily basis, we are able to communicate. We're able to trade. Even me as the chief dealer, I'm able to monitor and see all what they are doing. So you will now see that, yes, there are challenges, but for us to remain competitive, we need to be in that space. If you, just like you have your products and your users of the product and your services are in a particular area, then the only way for you to remain competitive is to meet your users, the people you are providing the service and product for. The only way is for you to take your product and services to where you can find them. And if we must remain competitive, we need to onboard more and more young people in their early 20s, people in their teens. We need to take our product and services to that digital space in which we can find them.
Yeah.
And we study, and with most of the young are very impatient. So we need to devise ways to meet them so that they can continue to invest on the comfort of their smartphone from wherever they are with their earpiece. They can communicate with our system, place their orders, executed. In T+3, they get value if they are selling and if they are also buying. So it becomes obvious and clear that for any CMO to remain competitive and profitable, to remain in business, then the only way is to take your product and services to the digital arena, where we find more and more of these new investors
in the market. So Mr. Charles, this is very good. I mean, you're talking about the millennials and the Gen Zs. Yes, can you hear me now?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yes.
Yes. Now, you made a very valid point about the millennials and the Gen Zs, because they're very important too. We need to get them involved and interested in the market, particularly equities, a multi-asset exchange. And technology is very key in that regard. Are there examples of CMOs that others can learn from that are already leading the way in that regard?
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with even myself in City Code. Yes, no, we adapted it late, but we are gradually coming there. But I had to talk to some of my colleagues in other firms who are really the pioneers of some of these online trades. I'll mention, just permit me to mention some of them, the likes of Mary Trade from Mary Stem, then you have from Investment One, you also have from Corona Securities, you know. Yes, I had to ask my IT people and yes, my IT people and those in operations to actually study what those pioneers have done and even see how we can now adapt what they have done. And it was quite, they were very, very open to let us understand what they were doing. And in fact, with a particular case, one of them even had to even come to our office and see how we are doing the process. And yes, and you can see the cooperation because everybody is there to deepen the market and ensure that we continue to operate profitably and efficiently. So yeah, those pioneers have done quite well, and I'm so happy when I saw your report. Those few companies I've mentioned, they made the first 10. So I must particularly mention one other company Morgan Capital. They were quite cooperative with us when we were trying to collaborate and find out how they were doing their own. It's quite, you can see the cooperation among the CMOs, and I will encourage other CMOs, which I've already done, that look, if you're having issues trying to start up, then look at your colleagues who have done it successfully and begin to learn from them. So I'm also going to commend Proshare for that their report, eye opener, and it's going to go a long way. So making more and more board of CMO companies to buy into this digital space, and they're also doing it practically on their own and see the benefits. Then, of course, we'll begin to see that the markets will be deepened. Not only just deepening in terms of equities market, but other asset class will see improvements and increase in transaction volumes and value.
Yeah. I mean, it's well noted what you've said. I mean, the efforts of the pioneers, like you rightly said, the 2020 overall ranking report from Proshare. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now, Mr. Charles? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes,
I can hear you.
I said, yes, well noted. I mean, from the 2020 overall ranking for the Proshare Online Trading Report, we could see that Merry Trade was overall the first, second was Easy Trade, and third from Codros. So yes, you're right that there have been these pioneers driving the process, and indeed, Proshare report has ably captured their contributions to technology to improving the market. We'll continue to do that. That's what we do for the market, giving incisive reports and analysis that gives investors the opportunity to make the intelligent investment decisions and also get an insight into what's happening in the Nigerian capital markets. But let's also look at one revelation from this report, the artificial intelligence and how it's going to be a game changer playing in the market. From what you've seen, the perspective brought in from this report, how would you and your other capital market operators begin to leverage AI to drive the future of the market? Because it's very important. Even the regulators also would need to brace up for it.
Yeah, thank you. That's the real technical part of it. Artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. Yes, it's gradually becoming normal in our
Mr. Charles, can you hear me? A student to get Mr. Charles Fakrogha again, challenges of technology. Okay.
The artificial intelligence, the device can process more data quickly and faster. Then at the same time, it also reduces a lot of human interference in the investment process. Yes, initially we had this fear that once you now deploy artificial intelligence, is it not going to make more and more traders don't have anything they say to do? But we now discover that by the time you use more and more of this digital device, the artificial intelligence, you will see that you will free up the trader. The trader can now do more other important things. So the routine data analysis, so that investors can take
Mr. Charles, can you hear me?
Right. The trader can millennials that we are trying to capture in the digital space want services to be delivered as quickly as possible. They want transaction processes to be cost-effective, cheap, efficient, so that they can move on to other things. So artificial intelligence, yes, we are all going to embrace it, but like I always say, it's going to be a gradual process. And we have to do a real change management process, because change doesn't occur overnight. We have to continually do a lot of awareness. Even the traders, before they can deploy it and see the benefit, we need to be trained. They need to understand, they need to be aware how to deploy it, so that they don't just become the challenge. That is, they don't want to frustrate that artificial intelligence to operate very well.
Very important,
So,
Mr. Charles.
Traders have to be trained, first of all, in now deploying it to the investment process and transaction. It's going to become easy. Like I said, the training that is going on today, that's going to take place today, later in the day,
Webinar,
all these are the content of that training. Artificial intelligence, how it can be used to enhance in the digital, in the capital market, and attract more and more of these youths to be in that space. But we can't just start it overnight. Training has to take place, awareness has to take place. It's going to be a learning curve. But I believe that gradually, like every other project we have taken on, initially we'll have challenges, but gradually, we are going to get there, and we're going to be seeing more.
Yes, Mr. Charles Fakrogha,
more of the CMOs to intelligent. But some of the challenges are going to be there, and we are not going to be unmindful of those challenges. We are going to tackle them headlong.
Yeah.
We are going to take the risks, and we're going to look at the risks because they have been said, we've been told that if you don't look at risks very well, risks will take over you. So we are going to have a risk management process in place so that by the time this device are being deployed, then some of the challenges that will be coming out will not be a surprise to us, and we'll have used it to the benefit of everybody in the capital market, both the fintech companies, even the regulators. They're going to be seeing less and less of infrastructure in market infractions. But it is still going to be a gradual process, and I believe we are going to get there.
Yeah, Mr. Fakrogha, just quickly, just in
Hello?
one. Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Fakrogha, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Quickly, in 30 seconds, what are your thoughts about the recent regulations, guidelines for digital assets classification? SEC says that guideline is aimed at investor protection. Just 30 seconds, your views around it.
Yes, thank you. The apex regulators will always be at the top of their game. And we saw those reports. I would think it is good so that investors, if you are trying to invest in any asset class, you already know the pros and cons of it, and you will know you have been bonds. So it's a right step in the right direction, and then we as operators, we're ready to support the regulators to ensure that whatever thing that is done for any product or service that is coming out, it is for the interest and benefit of the investor, because investor protection is key, and of course for the overall market protection, so that we can boost investors' confidence and thereby increasing the impact of the capital market on the general economy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles Fakrogha. It was nice having this conversation with you. At least we've been able to understand the fact that, yes, capital market operators are now taking seriously investing in technology to leverage activities and deepen the markets, particularly equities markets. You're also making that strong case that it must be leveraged to effectively diversify the exchange from which is not a mono asset, but a multi-asset exchange where you have the mutual funds and the exchange traded funds too. They need to also step up. And then you also raise that important need for more cooperation with fintech companies to understand how you can leverage technology and improve efficiency in market operations. You also agree that the millennials are key and the Gen Z, so we need to reach out to them, to technology and products, to bring them on board to the market, to create an interest in the markets, and also the need for regulators to continually review the guidelines. And also you're saying that the CMOs will continue to partner with the regulators to ensure that we guarantee investor protection and drive a very robust market that works for everyone. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Charles Fakrogha, Chief Dealer, City Code Investment and Trust. It was nice having this conversation with you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yes, and all the best in your retail investor webinar today. And looking forward to
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Markets. And that'll be all for this
so
edition of the market review for this week. We hope to have this conversation tomorrow, same time by 10 a.m. You can join our website, www.proshare.com, to watch our videos, read our news reports and analysis. Until we come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.